Welcome back. Kamala Harris's running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, has praised China after living and teaching there for a year and visiting China about 30 times. He even reportedly chose to get married on the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre, then honeymooned in China. His wife said something like, well, he wanted to choose a date that we would all remember. Tiananmen Square massacre. Walz speaks a small amount of Mandarin and ran a business taking students to China as well in an exchange program. In 2019, he called for President Trump to end his trade war with China, claiming it was hurting American farmers. And in 2016, Walz said this: I don't fall into the category that China necessarily needs to be an adversarial relationship. Joining me now is the Gatestone Institute senior fellow. He is author of The Coming Collapse of China and China is Going to War. Gordon Chang back with us. Gordon, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Give us your sense of Tim Walz's experience and approach toward communist China.
The thing I'm concerned about, he just fawns over China. And then when he's governor of Minnesota, he governs in a way that Mao would have been proud of. So, you know, it sounds like naivete, but I'm worried and I'm afraid it is something much worse.
What do you mean?
Well, I think that he actually believes in a lot of the stuff in China, and I think they actually groomed him when he was there because he said all these things about how they treated him so well. He will never be treated as well as the Chinese treated him. Those are danger signs.
Well, I mean, the Chinese government posting a notice this week outlining plans to impose new restrictions on the production and sale of chemicals used to make fentanyl. Or here we go. They say they're going to start this on September 1st. Exporters of the fentanyl chemical precursors will be required to obtain a license, according to this posting from the Chinese government. Of course, we're 90 days away from the election, so now they're talking about stopping fentanyl coming into the country. Are you buying it?
Certainly not, because we've seen this before. You know, on November 15th of last year, Xi Jinping promises President Biden we're going to reduce the flow of precursor chemicals. That's essentially the same promise that Xi Jinping made to President Trump in 2018 and to President Obama in 2016. And of course he violated those pledges because fentanyl is an integral part of his plan to weaken America. These fentanyl gangs, they're large, they're well organized. They could not operate in China's total surveillance state if they didn't have the approval of the Communist Party.
Well, this is very concerning, Mahek. I mean, you've got the fentanyl flow into America. You've got surveillance on a grand scale, so much so that we had a surveillance balloon travel the country and hover over our military installations. You've got the COVID situation, the COVID cover-up, the theft of intellectual property, and the CCP is clearly pursuing a goal to overtake the United States as the #1 superpower.
They really are, and I feel like they are succeeding. I'm very curious to your opinion here, Gordon, but I think that China has infiltrated not only our southern border, Biden and Harris have allowed it by allowing these Chinese immigrants to come into our country undetected. We had a China spy balloon that nobody thought to shoot down. I mean, there is an orchestrated attempt truly to take over our infrastructure, overthrow our government, and now we have individuals that were coming in here that were detained by the FBI because of spying. What is the biggest goal here for China? Because I truly think that there's going to be another terrorist attack, and it could be from a Chinese national.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the Chinese nationals coming through the border. It's another thing on the list I should have mentioned. I mean, 50,000 Chinese nationals have come through the southern border in the last year. Why? Are they trying to be here to create unrest should Trump win?
Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of these are operatives. And we see this, for instance, they had that secret Chinese biological weapons facility in Reedley, California,
That's right,
which had at least 20 pathogens, including the one for Ebola. And we know that the Wuhan Institute of Virology at this moment is studying Ebola, which in nature has a 50% fatality rate. Fortunately, it's not that transmissible, but I'm sure China is trying to figure out how to make it contagious.
Unbelievable. A Chinese-American man living in New York was convicted for posing as a pro-democracy and anti-China activist. He was spying on dissidents and sharing information with the Chinese government for over a decade. The Brooklyn federal jury finding Shujun Wang guilty on charges of acting as an illegal foreign agent working on behalf of the Chinese Ministry of State Security. He faces up to 25 years in prison. Gordon, how many of these situations do you think exist right now in America?
You know, as Mahek said, This is across our country because they've been seating these operatives. They've been purposefully targeting Chinese Americans and Chinese nationals to do what Beijing wants. And they use every point of contact to take down our society. To go back to your point, that is their goal, to destroy the United States, because they believe that they're in an existential struggle with us because they're worried about the inspirational impact of our values and form of governance on the Chinese people. So the Communist Party believes it cannot survive as long as the United States exists.
Should we just move over and pass over this fact that Tim Walz wanted to get married on the anniversary of Tiananmen Square? I mean, I'm sorry.
Because everyone would remember the date, right? I'm sorry, I'm American. I've never been to China. I don't remember that date. So maybe that's an important date to him, but I would say most of us don't.
How many people were murdered in the massacre?
There were thousands of people who were killed on the night of June 3 to June 4. It is something that haunts the Communist Party. He did this on the 5th anniversary of that massacre. This is just inexcusable. And his wife has actually said it out, as you pointed out. His wife said he purposefully picked that date. It's not like June 4th was a date that came out of the air. This was something that he intentionally did.
Talk about weird.
Talk about really, really weird. I mean, and you know, there was a moment where people used to be fascinated with China. There was a lot of great things that people used to say about China, and everybody used to say it's insulated. It's never going to come after America. They just want to be the biggest and best country that they want to be. And maybe that was the case back then. But he doesn't seem to have gotten with the times and really understood what is happening with China. I just want to the shift. When should he have gotten what the threat is?
He should have gotten it as soon as he moved to China, which is what happened to us. Lydia and I moved to China, and then we know, first of all, there was this euphoria that lasted a month, and then we said, oh my gosh, this is really, really dangerous. This guy said he's gone to China 30 times. He actually established a business to bring students to China so that China could subvert them. I mean, you just go through this. There's so many red flags there. And I'm sure that Beijing is going to be really ecstatic that he's going to be sitting next to Kamala Harris, if they win, telling them about China policy. And by the way, you talked about those Trump tariffs. Those Trump tariffs were really good for the United States, and he knows it, but he wouldn't say that.
Yeah, well, he's not going to put tariffs on China, it doesn't appear. It appears that this is going to be a continuation of Joe Biden's soft approach to China.
Worse. It's going to be worse.
Worse. Okay. We'll leave it there. Gordon, great to get your take on all of this. We so appreciate your time.